video. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kristi. In today's video, I'm going to follow up with you. A lot of you requested that I kind of do another video just as a follow-up from my previous chat video. So if you have not seen my chat video that talked about just doing away with points and calories for now, and about this book that I was reading at the time, I've now finished it, called Intuitive Eating. So if you have not seen that video, I will link it down below. I'll put a card somewhere, I'm not sure what side it goes to, and you can go check that one out and then come back and watch this one, because this one is going to talk a little bit about my understanding of intuitive eating, and it's going to go into a little bit more detail as a follow-up to that video. And as always, time for the disclaimer. I am not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist. I have no credentials whatsoever, and anything that I'm sharing on my channel is for entertainment purposes only. I'm sharing with you only things that are working for me. They are specific to my body, the way that I eat, the things that I eat, the perception of things that I read. Those are my views, my opinions, and I am not at all stating that those are facts. I am just sharing with you my thoughts and what works for me. So please do your own research. Please talk to your own physician, your own nutritionist, especially when it comes to the way that you eat, because we are all different. So if you are new, in a nutshell, I have basically been on a diet, a weight loss journey since I was 14. I'm now 50 years old, and I am just tired of numbers. I'm tired of points, I'm tired of calories, and I had come across this book called Intuitive Eating and started reading it and really got a lot of good information from it. So I have since finished this book, and I've also gotten a couple other books. So because I'm not spending so much time on points and calories and all that, I've actually been having time to read. So I also got the Intuitive Eating workbook. There's a workbook that goes with it. I'm not really usually big on workbook type things, but I really want to look into it. I've not read this one yet. I've kind of glanced through it, but one that I have been reading that I'm just about done with is this book called Health at Every Size. Notice it doesn't say healthy at every size. It says health at every size. This book is a great follow-up to the Intuitive Eating book. So a lot of you had asked if I could kind of share some of the things in the Intuitive Eating book. And I don't want to share a whole lot, like word for word or anything, because I do believe that the authors deserve for people to read it and not me to just kind of go through every single thing in the book. But I definitely am able to let you know like the principles of it, because they do have a website, and I was able to, they have it right on their website, the principles. So I will put the website down in the description box below. One thing I want to mention is that intuitive eating for me does not mean that you can just eat everything you want. Doesn't matter, just eat it. When I first heard the words intuitive eating, probably a couple years ago, I would say, that's what I thought. I thought it just meant you ate whatever the heck you want and you just listen to your body. But it's really not. Now that I've read the book, and I've also read the Health at Every Size, I realize that intuitive eating is about being in tune with your body. So it's just, for me, it's about nourishing my body, but not obsessing over anything. If I eat something that is maybe not as nourishing, it's okay. It's not a big deal. I don't need to feel guilty about it. I don't need to think about it. I don't need to sit there in my mind and go over and over and over whether I should or shouldn't eat something. It's okay. So that it's just about having the freedom and listening to your body. So now I'm just going to go through the principles of the intuitive eating. There are 10 principles. The first one is to reject the diet mentality. This one I have just a little bit of issues with, only because of the type of person I am. So I'm a type of person that I believe that I am where I am right now in my life because of every single decision that I have made up until now. And I can't regret any decisions that I've made in my past because they're done and I can't change them. All I can do is learn from them. So this talks about getting angry at diet culture and, you know, for giving us that mentality that we have about our food and everything. And that's just really hard for me because I don't want to be angry about anything. I understand the concept and I understand what the authors are saying. I totally understand that. But I guess I just look at it in a little bit different way, especially because of the fact that I truly believe that intuitive eating may not be for everybody. And again, we're all different. So I don't feel like just because right now it's working for me and I'm really loving it, if somebody told me about it a year ago, I wouldn't have been ready because at the time I was happy dieting. I was happy on WW. So that one I have a little bit of issues, but it does talk about throwing out diet books and magazine articles and things that make you feel like you're bad for the way you eat. So I do agree with some of that. One thing with the intuitive eating is it really stresses about don't want to lose weight because then you kind of get off the focus of it. And I'm just not there yet because I do still want to lose some weight. I feel like I'm not quite where I need to be with health. So I feel like I do need to make a few changes. But with that being said, I think that's just going to come naturally. And I'm just going to focus on what I need to focus on with just eating the foods that I love to eat by nourishing my body and doing all the other principles. I think the weight loss honestly may come with it. So I'm gonna do my best to focus on that. So the second principle is to honor your hunger. And this has been something that has been so different for me. I mentioned in my first chat video that I was one who in the morning I would feel my stomach growling and I would completely ignore it. If it wasn't quite time to eat, like the normal time, I would just be like, well, we've got a couple of hours before we eat. So I wasn't really listening to the hunger cues or the satisfaction cues, which is another principle we'll talk about. And something along the lines of that, I watched a TED Talk that talked kind of about intuitive eating, and I want to share with you. If I can find it, I'll link it down below because it was a really great TED Talk. I can't even remember who the person was. I think she was a nutritionist at UCLA or something. She was going to the bathroom as an example, and she said that if your body says, hey, I need to go to the bathroom, and you don't look at your clock, you don't look at your watch and say, well, no, it's not time yet, we'll go at the normal time. She said, then why do we do that when it comes to eating? And that made sense. You know, how many times have you been hungry for dinner, but it's only 3 o'clock? Well, you can't eat dinner until what, 5, at least 5? So those are just things to think about. The third principle is to make peace with food. So basically I talked about that in the other chat video. I talked about how I would deprive myself sometimes, and that's what it's about. Just accepting and giving yourself permission to eat foods. So one thing that I have had is ice cream sandwiches I've had in my fridge, my freezer. So usually I don't keep ice cream in my house because that is one thing that I always end up overdoing it on. And I have, since reading this book and just kind of listening to my body and learning, the ice cream sandwiches are in a box of 6. I've had them for about a week and a half now, and there are only 2 gone. So, and the first night that I had it, I only ate half of it, and I was completely satisfied and gave it to my husband because I know they're still going to be there. I know that I can have them. There's nothing that's off limits to me. The fourth principle is challenging the food police. So for me, this is kind of double because I have the food police in my mind, and then I also have the food police who like to come along in my videos and hijack the comments. So basically with the food police, it's the good food, bad food. It's the things that you tell yourself about things that are good and things that are bad. We label everything good and bad, and we need to try not to do that. And that's still something that I'm still learning. There's a lot I'm still learning, but these are kind of like the big picture things and the things that have already stuck out to me and the things that have made an impact already for me. So that leads into number 5, which is to discover the satisfaction factor. And it talks about the Japanese having the wisdom to keep pleasure as one of their healthy habits. Eating gives us that satisfaction feeling, and we should all have pleasure in eating. Number 6 is feel your fullness. One thing that I think I read in one of the books is that we all have that little knock on the shoulder. And because that's one thing that I always said was, how do I know when I'm satisfied? Do I know when to stop? Yes, if you listen to your body, there will come a time where you get a little tap on the shoulder that says, hey, are you kind of getting satisfied? When you get that tap, that's when you need to say, okay, I hear you. I'm gonna stop and see how I feel. So that's something that I'm learning. And honestly, even with my tossed salads, I used to eat the whole entire salad, and I would eat it to stuffed because it's a salad. It's got vegetables in it. I need to be eating this stuff. But now I've learned that even with a salad, even with vegetables, when I feel that satisfaction, I need to stop. Number 7 is cope with your emotions with kindness. And this goes into kind of different reasons that you eat, whether it's anxiety, lonesome, boredom. If you do end up eating something that you really feel afterwards like, why did I do that? Just let it go. Be kind to yourself. It is what it is, and you being upset and beating yourself up for it is not going to do anything. It's okay. You just be kind to yourself and move on. But with that being said, the one thing it talks about is that when you eat because of emotions or boredom or things like that, you really have to learn that food doesn't fix those. It doesn't make those go away. Those emotions are still there. Just learning to love your body, and I talked about this in the other video, is just loving who you are. Love your body for what your body is and who you are as a person. Number 9 is a big one for me, and that is movement. Feel the difference. So one thing I mentioned in my first chat is that I was committing to 3 days of working out with weights. And I'm trying not to look at it that way anymore. I'm trying to just look at it as just movement, moving with my body. When I am sitting at my dining room table and I'm on my laptop, instead I'm standing up now and I'm walking in place, or just different things. If I'm on my phone at work, I'll stand up and just walk around my office. So just always doing something to keep your body moving. Even if you're sitting in a chair and you're swinging your legs, something to just always keep yourself moving, that is a big thing. One thing that I will be working on, I love Fitbit, and you all know I love the Fitbit challenges. I think they're great. But at the same time, I feel like the Fitbit for me is sometimes not going to be good with the way that I'm trying to live my life. And the reason I say that is because there literally have been times where I would get in bed because my body was tired, and I would look at my Fitbit and realize I'm at 9,400 steps and I have my goal set at 10,000. So I would get out of bed and get those other 600 steps. That's ridiculous. And it's just one of those things. The 600 steps is not going to make or break me. And it's just one of those things that, I don't know, it's like, I feel like it's a fun thing for me, but at the same time, I can see where the Fitbit could kind of get me into that type of mentality. So I have to be very careful with that and figure out how to draw the line. I have been better. The other night, I think I was at like 9,800. I looked at it and I said, oh well, I'm tired. I need to go to sleep, because sleep is important. I've talked about that before. In fact, the American Heart Association, now, they used to have the Simple 7, talks about things to do for your cardiac health. And now they have the essential 8 or 8 essential, I forget how it's worded, but it talks about what to do for your cardiovascular health. And they just recently added sleep because they determined that sleep is a big thing for people. It is something I have worked on over the last year. I was averaging probably 5 to 6 hours of sleep and maybe about a 65 to 70 sleep score on my Fitbit. I am now averaging about close to about an 80 sleep score, and I'm getting my hours up there on average to around 7, which is what I shoot for. So usually on the weekends I get a little bit more, and then during the week I get a little less. So, but definitely something I'm working on. And that is not in these principles, so I just added that in there. And number 10 is honor your health with gentle nutrition. And it says to make food choices that honor your health and taste buds while making you feel good. Remember that you don't have to eat perfectly to be healthy. You will not suddenly get a nutrient deficiency or become unhealthy from one snack, one meal, or one day of eating. It's what you eat consistently over time that matters. Progress, not perfection, is what counts. And I think that is the biggest thing. And one thing I've found with this intuitive eating thing is what I have learned about myself. I've mentioned before, I've always loved fruits and vegetables, but I'm finding now that I really love them. And the majority of the time when I go in my kitchen and think, what do I feel like having today? Because now that's what I'm doing. I was always making my meal plans based on points and calories, and now I'm thinking about what is it that I feel like having, what sounds good. And the majority of the time I do want something nourishing. I want something that is going to make my body feel good. So it's been very eye-opening because I really am finding that I do prefer the more nourishing foods over everything, but at the same time I know that I can have whatever I want. So what I was finding when I was doing all this online searching for what is the best thing for this and what's the best thing to relieve that, and spending all this time searching for what is the best thing for me to eat and finding conflicting information depending on whether it's this website or that website, this organization or that organization, what I found is that it was removing me from my body telling me, hey, hello, I'm trying to tell you what's best for you. But I wasn't listening to my body. I was listening to everything else out there of this is good, this is good, this is bad, this is bad, instead of listening to my own body. Those are the things that I'm learning. And I'm just trying to find what works for me, because I just feel like we are all just built so different that we just need to find out what works for us as individuals. I want to end this one with one more thing that TED Talk talked about. One thing she said that she found out, it's not about the way I'm eating, it's about the way I'm living. And that matches my first chat video so much. I want to live life. I don't want it to be about what I'm eating. I want it to be about the way that I'm living. And I think that you probably can tell from these last few videos that I am living my best life right now. I just feel so free. My mind is free, and let me just say that the support that all of you have given me is tremendous, and I love each and every one of you, and I truly, truly cherish every single one of your friendships. So thank you so much for your support for me on that video. I really do appreciate it. As always, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you're new, I would love it for you to be part of our family. Thank you all so much for all your support. I truly, truly appreciate your friendship, and I'll talk to you in my next one.